Okay, good afternoon, guys. This is my first attempt at a video to get you guys set up for online learning. I admit I find this super weird, but I'm going to do my best to keep us going in terms of classwork. There might not be a new video every day, but there will be every few days, so make sure you're watching our classroom for what's new. So here we go. You guys took a look at these yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Time is going by fast. I just want to make sure you have a good handle on how to do these. So we have our top number, remember that it's being multiplied, and our bottom number that's being added. You'll see why we're using these in a second as we get into our factoring polynomials. You'll understand better why. And so this is just a practice sort of puzzle to get our brains going in this direction. So if you didn't already complete these, I want you to finish these first, all 3 pages of them. And from there, you'll move on to the next lesson. So our top number, we're looking for 2 numbers that we can multiply to get that. And those same 2 numbers we're going to add to get the bottom number. So if it doesn't come to you right away, you can go ahead and list out the factors for that number. So if we think about 36, we have factors of 1, 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, and maybe already you see what combination could become this. You'll notice that this top number is negative, and we want to keep it that way. So in order to do that, we're going to have to be multiplying a number where 2 numbers where 1 is negative and 1 is positive, right? So if we take this set of factors and we think -2, that means when we multiply it by this other number that's going to have to be positive. If we multiply those 2 numbers, we have -2 and 18. That creates, when we multiply them, -36. Our number here at the bottom, we want to add those together. So in this case, it's 18 plus -2 brings us down to 16. So beware that you're thinking about the positives and negatives when you're doing these. That's going to be really important to do this stuff correctly. So get through these. Just a quick look here. This one should be -1, -1. And you can always double check your answer, making sure that they multiply to create the top number and add to create that bottom number. Now, why are we doing this? Well, if you have your booklet at home, you can open up to topic 5, write down the notes with me as you watch the video, just like you would do in class. If you don't have your booklet at home, if you have access to a printer, I'll make sure the full booklet's on the classroom. You can print it off. If not, you just write them down on any piece of paper, just to keep your brain going in the same way that you're already used to learning. So we're going to look at polynomials in this form, okay? Polynomial, a trinomial where we have a variable that's squared, a variable in the middle that will have some coefficient, it might be 1 at some points, and then a constant at the end. Okay, so let's remember those terms. Constant, coefficient, and our first set of polynomials or trinomials we're going to look at the beginning, we're going to look at them with no coefficient for now, which would mean a coefficient of 1, of course, but we're going to look at those for starting out factoring. Okay, so let's just go backwards for a second and talk about multiplying polynomials. We have been doing multiplying polynomials at length in the last week or 2. Sorry, I'm shaking this thing. So you know how to do this. You're going to go x times x. So we have x squared. X times 2, that's 2x. And then the same thing with our other term here. So we have -4 times x. We're going to line those up so we can add them together. And -4 times 2 makes -8. When we add that all together, we have x squared negative 2x minus 8. This isn't new. We've been doing this for a while already. It's just quick practice to take a look at this. And here this binomial by binomial, we have them sort of backwards. So with our constant first, then our variable. So if you multiply those, 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times negative b makes negative 8b. Here we have negative b times 3 makes negative 3b, because remember that's like a negative 1. And then negative b times negative b is positive b squared, because negative times negative is positive. We add those together, we have 24 minus 11b plus b squared. So just notice these are similar, right? They both have a single variable in them with one variable to the second degree, or exponent or squared, however you want to say that. One variable to the first degree or exponent, and then a constant. And these are just written in opposite order. So as you go through these videos, I want you to just pause when it comes to check your understanding. Do your normal check your understanding question, and then press play to finish off. So, factoring each trinomial. This is getting down to the nuts and bolts of trinomials and factoring, and what this unit kind of gets all together to. Okay, so those x's that we've been looking at, we're going to set those up each time we do a factoring question. And we're going to take them, and in this case, remembering that our coefficient here is 1, and we need to keep that as part of this thing. Okay, so we have 1 times negative 8. That's going to be the number that we look at up in here. And when we put that in there, then we're going to start thinking about our factors that can get that in a second. The number that goes in the bottom is negative 2. Now, if we look back to here, to our binomials, and if we think about this, we had negative 8. Remember that this number times this number created negative 8, okay? And when we added these two numbers together, we got our middle number. So negative 4 plus 2 creates that middle coefficient. So it's not a magic trick, it's just how this works. We have our x value when it's just 1, okay, when these are all 1s. We have 1 here. The two numbers at the end of our binomials multiply to create this number, or c, and the two numbers in our binomial add together to create b, our middle coefficient. So in order to factor them, which simply means creating those two binomials, working backwards to create two binomials where we have x and x, that if they were multiplied, they go back to that first trinomial. We want to create those by finding factors. So let's think about the factors of negative 8. Okay, so we'd have 1 times negative 8, remembering that we want them to add together to create negative 2. That wouldn't happen. If we go 2 and negative 4, and I'm picking my negative on 4 very carefully because I know that I need my bigger number to be negative in order for them to add to a negative number. So if I look here, 2 times negative 4 is indeed negative 8, and when we add them together, it's also negative 2. So once I have the set of factors that satisfy both the top and the bottom, I put them in here. So I have x minus 4 and x plus 2. Okay, and if I go ahead and multiply these, we'll find that we will get back to our original trinomial. So you can always check your answer here. It's a really important part of that because I will mark accordingly that you can always check your answer. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay. That is exactly what we needed. These two are the same, so we are good. Moving along, we're going to do the exact same thing with b. We're going to set up our x, where if I think this is 1 times 35, that's going in my top number. And in the bottom number, I have my middle coefficient. We'll generally refer to that as b. So we can go through, once again, our factors to create 35. So 1 and 35, it's not divisible by 2, not divisible by 3 or 4, but it is divisible by 5, and that's 5 times 7. So if I look, this is a positive number, but this is a negative one. Okay, so if I think about that, remember that, of course, positive times positive equals positive, as does negative times negative. So in this case, to get a positive number on the top, I'm going to have to have, and a negative number on the bottom, I'm going to have to use two negative numbers in here. If I look at my 5 and my 7, do those create negative 12? Well, not as they are, but if I make them negative, we have negative 5, negative 7, and that creates our negative 12. So it satisfies both of these. When we add them, it makes negative 12. When we multiply them, it creates 35. So when I go back to creating my two binomials, so I set up my brackets for two binomials. I have x, oh, sorry, it's z's. Z's my variable. I'm going to have z and z, and then I'm going to use these two factors that I found satisfy both conditions. So we have z minus 5 and z minus 7. I can check my answer by doing my multiplication. Z squared, z times negative 7 is negative 7z, and then same thing here. Negative 5z, negative 5 times negative 7 makes negative 35. So we have z squared, negative 12z. Sorry, that's a positive. Mrs. David. Negative times negative makes positive. And there we have it. It is exactly the same as our original, so we're good to go. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that because apparently I'm talk for a long time. I'll go ahead and do example 3 on a quick video tomorrow. For today, if you're getting going, I want you to work on number 10, 11, and 14. Okay, we will work together on once I've got the video for example 3 and the rest here. All right, email me if you have questions. Good night.